Well, what we're here to talk about is the 1933 Chrysler Imperial LeBaron.
Yes.
I think I bought that from Joe Crea out of Ohio. I didn't really like the color when I bought it. It was kind of an ugly tan and brown. And I mean, it's a gorgeous car now. And you look at that car, and the car is stationary. The hood's kind of higher, and it kind of slopes down in the rear end. I mean, it looks like it's traveling fast, and it's not even moving.
Sure. It's interesting to see how much taller the radiator is relative to the back seat on that car. It's just got this incredible rake, and it's kind of the opposite direction of what you would think would make a car look fast, right? Running downhill versus running uphill.
It's a big car.
It is a big car. 147-inch wheelbase, if memory serves on that. So it's a long car, but it's so low. And it's the openness of it, the cove it built into the door panels, everything about that just creates this very svelte, aesthetic, powerful look.
And what's the length of the hood?
The hood, fun fact on that, is from tip to tip, the furthest point's been 6 feet long. That was the longest production hood until Packard introduced the Clipper in 41 on an American car. It's huge, and to get that hood straight, the metal fabrication along that distance, I mean, that's a massive expanse to be able to make a straight hood on. But the reason that hood is so long is the design from LeBaron there. They wanted to hide the cowl, which was kind of a European concept. So you actually, what people wouldn't realize looking at that car is the firewall, so your footwell, is actually about 2 feet out into the hood on it. So it's really a unique design in that when you open it up, it's deceptive, right? You've got engine up here.
It is deceptive.
And it's just this really cool presentation, but also the fact that you have, I mean, God, I don't even know where to start on that car. You have vacuum-assisted clutch. You have vacuum-assisted brake. It had what was called a coincidental starter. So when there's not an actual starter button or anything like that on the car, you put your foot on the gas. Well, normally, if you were to put your foot onto the gas, it's just going to flood it. Well, what that car does is as soon as it starts up, there is a vacuum diaphragm with a little arm on it that disconnects the lead to the starter and shuts it off. Coincidental. So you can start that car with your foot on the gas, and it will kill it as soon as it creates vacuum, kill the starter, and you have a running car, which was awesome. Leg space wise, driving characteristic wise, the weight on it, it's very light in the front end because it's not a big 16 or a big 12. The driving characteristics of that car are incredible. And I can tell you firsthand, I had that car up to 95 mile an hour, which was terrifying and awesome. But they drive. Those Chryslers drive. I feel like they're slightly underappreciated in the market, and that's why this car was such a passion project for me. Because I've been obsessed with these cars since I was a kid. We restored a car, a CL Roadster, for a guy named Guy Beatty when I was probably 10 years old. And for whatever reason, that car has always stuck with me. So to get the opportunity when this came up to do this, it was a no-brainer from a research perspective. This car was owned by a carnival barker at one point in time in its history.
Really?
Yeah. So this is a fun story. I got to get to this. So a guy named Walter Vassbender buys the car out of the C.H. Waller Company in Indianapolis. The car spent 95% of its life
in Indiana.
Yeah. This car, out of all the CL Imperials, I worked with two historians on it. I have to give a massive thank you to Joe Morgan. I have to give a massive thank you to Dan Fennessy on this. Two historians. It was amazing to work with these guys on this project, but Joe Morgan owned this car for a period of time, and I received the file of information. This car is, I would wager, the most well-documented CL Imperial in existence. I have handwritten letters, typed letters. We broke up into decades going back to the day it was sold. And the car ends up bouncing around a group of friends in the Indianapolis area. One of them was a Plymouth dealer. And so these guys, I love this car. I want to buy it. Oh, I want to buy it back. Sells it to a friend, has it for a year. I missed the car. I want to buy it back. And we have all of the history of every one of these owners down the line. But at one point in time, one of the guys that owned it was a carnival barker. So he would have somebody drive the car, put top in, and Circus was coming into town or whatever, he would stand in the back seat. Hey, come watch the, whatever, which is incredible to think about this car being used that way. But there's an important story with this. They were, for the money, they were an incredible value with what you got. I mean, the luxury of it and everything else. And that was the full court press that Chrysler started doing in 31 with the CG series and then the CL. But after that, they weren't regarded as, they were just a car. So with the restoration on this, we had to undo 60 years of this just being used as a car. A lot of parts were replaced with what was available because they weren't as collectible for a good period of time in their history. So it's always fun when you run into those marks that have started to really appreciate in value, and also the appreciation for them has gone up. So this car, from a technical restoration aspect, was incredibly difficult. We made, again, off of original components, blueprints. We studied every one of the remaining cars. We studied, Ted Reimel owned a car at one point in time that was the only unrestored 33 in existence. I flew all over the country looking at these things. To return it back to its original configuration was, I read through every technical service bulletin that Chrysler put out. Our guys on the team, it took so much effort to bring that car back to its complete original state because it had been just used as a car for decades. And it was
a driver.
Yeah, that's kind of the plight with a lot of these Chrysler Imperials. Yep. And so now it's been fun because we, through this process, have unearthed and reproduced a lot of components that were no longer available for the car. And that's what made this one special, because we really dug in down to the little, remember I talked about that little cap washer that goes on the interior reveals? Those didn't exist. It was a two-piece construction stamped part that got a little nest underneath it to cover the screw. Nobody did that. Everybody used French washers or finished washers on it. So something as benign as that, but what that does for the look of the car on the inside is incredible. It's just so unique. Because it changed hands between friends and whatnot, I think it had 17 owners before you got it. Which is, for some people, that might be high, but since it's all documented, it went through all the friends, it's a lot of neat people that lived life in that car. But it's also really cool to think that car is never going to leave your hands now. I know you've been asked about that car.
It's not going anywhere.
I know. Thank you. I will lay in front of it. I'm not going to let it happen. I'm sorry. It's stuck here. But that's one.
I think it's one of the things that's unique about me is I'm not really in this and never got in this to buy and sell cars. And
no.
I just buy a bigger building.
You're about due, I think, so, right?
Well, you and I were in Italy.
Yes.
Villa d'Este, Lake Como, which is on the border of the southern part of Lake Como is in Italy. The northern part is in Switzerland.
Yes.
And we took best in class.
Yes.
At Lake Como, which is, just set off the fireworks on that one. I was shocked.
The thing that's the most fun about these shows, especially when you take an American car to Europe, is to see the reaction of the European market to that car, because I think that a lot of the European market doesn't really know a lot of the American cars as well as we know the European car market, our Mercedes, and Porsche and Bugatti and all that, right? So we set up for judging, right? And JP Rathken, who is the CEO and chief editor of Classic Driver, he comes
JP's a great guy.
JP's hilarious. It was a great judging. The whole group of guys is incredible, and they're all very technical, awesome judges. Well, JP walks up to me and he says, "So Travis, should I bring out a desk?" And I said, "Yes, and get a chair for the research." And I pulled out this huge book. I brought a carry-on of all the research, the condensed research, and it was so fun to be able to go through that car and talk about all the technical aspects, the design aspects, the restoration aspects, and just see those new synapses being created for JP and the judges to give them an insight into why these cars were technically great, why they were aesthetically great. And that was just to do that, that was a win. Just to get to talk to these judges and get to talk to the other owners in that class. Again, all European cars in that class. To do it, just to be an American car in the cars that were in that class was amazing. But to see those judges understand that car, to see people from all over the world come up and look at the car and talk about the car and say, I've never seen this. I didn't know American cars could look like this out of the period. The styling, this, that, and the other. That is incredible, because now you're offering up history, and it's being consumed by people all over the world. Because of the combination of the car and the combination of the result of that show and the way it was received, that is my greatest professional achievement. That result at that show.
You know, to win best in class at Lake Como, and we came down the hill and they stopped us all.
Yep.
And then we started to proceed through, and to be lined with people thousands of people cheering you on as we went into the final parking area where we were recognized.
Yep.
It's just a rush. I mean, it's just difficult to describe that feeling.
I don't know. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity that I thought was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and here we are going back again.
I've been doing this, I hate to say it, 10 years.
Yep.
And we've got 35 trophies in the last 10 years, which is mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible. I mean, we on our end are incredibly blessed to get to work on the cars that we do. Yeah, but to see, you know, when you walk in and you have your awards display, to walk down that and see that it's filled, it already is unbelievable. But that's been a really, I don't know, I can't say thanks enough for the opportunity to do this. It's been incredible.
It's a fun journey.
It is.